What's up and welcome back. Today we're going to be talking about how to find your first wholesale deal in 7 days or less using marketing. Now I'm a marketer and that's what I specialize in. So today I'm going to teach you all of the marketing strategies to find your first deal. Now if you want to learn about the strategies of how to actually close a deal, the contracting, stuff like that, there's thousands of videos on YouTube for you to watch. My area of expertise is marketing, so that's what we're going to talk about today. Now, for those of you who are short on time, if you go to guide.thewholesaleconnection.com, I took this entire video and I broke it down in an ebook that you can read on your own time, walk through each one of the steps and implement on your own. Now, with that said, let's go ahead and get into it. The first thing that you want to do if you're looking to start marketing to find wholesale real estate deals, fix and flips, buy and holds, whatever it is that you're looking for, is you want to find out where you should be looking. Now, there's thousands of different areas in your market that you could be looking for deals, but it's a lot easier if you take a little bit of time and figure out what are the hottest zip codes in your area. Now you can do this by going to a website called listsource.com, and what you can do is, and actually I break this all down in the guide, but what you can do is if you go to listsource.com, you can put in a couple of different criteria to look for the most cash transactions in a specific area, and you can get it broken down by zip codes. What this will help you do with marketing is that you can focus your marketing on these zip codes where you know investors are already spending a lot of their money. So inside of ListSource, you go in, there's a couple of different things, and like I said, I break this down in the guide, so if you want to see the specifics of how to do that, go download the guide. Again, that's guide.thewholesaleconnection.com. You put in a couple of different criteria, and the main thing that you're looking for is cash transactions for absentee owners, so people that don't actually live inside of the property. And you want to look for, in order to find cash transactions, you want to be looking at high equity. So you typically want to look like 99 to 100% equity, which means they paid cash for the property. So that way you can find the list of cash transactions in your market. So what it'll do is it'll spit out an Excel file that you don't have to pay for. You can export it to see how many records or how many cash transactions have happened in each market, or in each zip code, sorry. So that way when you start planning your marketing campaigns, you know which zip codes had the most cash transactions, so you can start focusing your marketing there. So there's lots of activity going on, but you already know that buyers are interested in those areas. And I guarantee you that by doing this, you're not selling yourself short. Some of the feedback that I've got on this strategy is that, well, if there's already a lot of cash transactions in that area, why would I want to go to that area? There's more than enough homes in that area for you to take advantage of, so you don't need to worry about there not being enough supply. There's always situations going on where someone wants to sell their house at a cheaper price because they want to get out of the property, depending on what their situation is. That is a great deal for you to then go and sell to an investor as a wholesale opportunity. So once you get those zip codes, you want to go ahead and purchase the data list of those zip codes, and you want to specifically get the emails. Once you do that, you will get the emails and the contact info or the LLCs of all the cash transactions in that area, so you can start to build up your buyers list. You'll need this a little later on, but it's a step that you just don't want to forget. Now, once you've done that, you want to go find a reputable data company. We recommend nationaldatasource.com just because they get what we call premium data. So there's two different types of data when you're going to purchase data: premium data and there's consumer data. Consumer data is typically generated by surveys, people filling out forms. It's just aggregated on a server and it's not continually updated. Premium data is usually updated pretty frequently because homeowner situations change. So you want to find this type of data because it's a little bit more accurate on terms of what the situation is for the homeowner. So if you're looking for tax delinquents or absentee owners, or if you're looking for vacants, those the premium data vendors usually have more up-to-date records. So when you run your marketing campaigns, they're going to be a lot more effective than if you just the cheapest data that you can find, which is typically consumer data. And what you want to do when you go to purchase this data is let the data vendor know. Like I said, you go to nationaldatasource.com, that's who we recommend, and you let them know, hey, these are the zip codes that I'm looking for. So that way you can go out and purchase a couple of different lists in those specific zip codes. Now, what I would recommend you start with when you go to purchase these lists are absentee owners, aka landlords that don't live in the property. You can do in-state and out-of-state. There's tax delinquents. I would also look at vacant properties, pre-foreclosure, and if the data vendor can get you divorce or bankruptcy lists, those are a great list that you start out with. Now, when you buy the data list, you're not going to get all the contact information for the people that live in that home. So you actually have to go out and skip trace it. So it's kind of a double hit that you have to do. You purchase the data and you go out and skip tracing. Skip tracing, what it's going to do is bring back the contact information information of the people that actually own the property. And you typically want to make sure that when you get this, you'll get a bunch of different phone numbers. You want to splice out the first 3 numbers of typically. So once you got those records, you want to set up a couple of different marketing campaigns. Now, the first thing that you want to do with the skip trace data, what I recommend is the most effective use of your time, and also the most effective in terms of generating motivated sellers for you to actually get on the phone with to have appointments, is Ringless voicemail and SMS campaigns. Now, again, we recommend Slingshot SMS is a great vendor for this because you can do SMS and Ringless voicemails all in the same software, and you can build these campaigns in the software, and it's pay as you go. So once you fund your account, you just utilize the credits that are in there. So if you're just getting started, it's nice to not have to add a monthly bill to your marketing stack when you're first getting started. So it allows you to just utilize your credits and you kind of pay as you go from there. So you take that data list. I would recommend if you purchase data or if you're skip tracing data that you already have, that you have anywhere from between 5,000 to 10,000 records to make this method of marketing work really well. Now, once you set it up, the flow that I recommend is that you use a ringless voicemail first, and you have a couple of conditional responses after that ringless voicemail is dropped. So if you haven't experienced one of these, a ringless voicemail is when it rings your phone and goes directly to voicemail. So it's typically one ring, sometimes it doesn't ring at all, and then leaves a voicemail. And typically you're leaving something like, hey, I noticed that your property wasn't up for sale, but just wanted to see if you're interested in a cash offer for your property. Let me know. So something kind of broad and generic, and you can get a little bit more targeted depending on what types of data you're going after, whether it's a vacant property, whether it's a tax delinquent, whether it's an absentee owner. You can get a little bit more targeted in your script, and you just want to test out what works. Marketing is testing, so you want to test out what works in your market. I can't give you a script that's going to work in every single market because it differs. So you want to leave your ringless voicemail, and there's a couple of things that'll happen after the ringless voicemail drops. So it'll either successfully drop, and you want to send a text message right after, kind of mirroring the same thing that you said in the ringless voicemail. Again, you have limited characters there, so it's okay to be a little bit more informal. Typically, we get the best response rates if we use kind of shorthand like TY for thank you, or okay, or just shorter text like that, because it makes you seem a little bit more human as you're sending out these text messages and not as a robot that's sending out the messages. So you typically will get a much better response rate. So that's on a successful drop. There's also other situations that you can do if the drop doesn't succeed. So the inbox was full. You can leave a text message and say, hey, try to leave you a voicemail. Notice your inbox was full. Just wanted to see if you were interested in getting an offer on your property. And then also sometimes it just fails completely and doesn't send a voicemail, whether the voicemail box isn't set up. You can use the same message or you can customize another one. So that way you have this kind of cascading flow of stuff that happens. And typically I'd recommend you repeat that same process later on in the week or the week after to the same set of numbers. So what you'll get is a flood of people calling back to the ringless voicemails, and also people texting back into the number saying, in some cases they're saying like, hey, who is this? Or yes, I would like an offer, or let me know, or I want to connect. And inside of Slingshot, you can respond to these just on your computer or on your mobile phone, and you can reply to those. And the goal of those isn't to try and get the deal right there. The goal of those is to set up an appointment. So typically what I would recommend is you have some type of tracking number set up, whether it's with CallRail or with Google Voice, so that way you can track the responses, make sure that you follow up with people. And the key of this process is follow up. So if you're not able to follow up on the amount of records or the amount of leads that you got, reduce your number of sends per day so that way you can follow up on them, because most times you're not going to get the deal on the first touch. You need anywhere between 6 and 7 touches before you actually get the deal. So you want to set that up. And then the next thing that I would recommend is after you do SMS ringless voicemails, make sure that you set up a CRM, again, because follow-up is the most important piece of this. If you're not following up on the deals, you're never going to get your first deal. Or if you're beyond your first deal, you're never going to get your next deal if you're not following up on the leads that you're generating. So make sure you set up a CRM. You can use things like Podio, you can use free things like a Trello account, or you can pay for something like Pipedrive to keep track of the deals that are coming in. Now, what I would recommend after you have the SMS ringless voicemail going on is starting cold calling. Now, most people think that they have to do the cold calls themselves, and most people, if you're like me, don't like cold calling. I don't know a lot of people that actually like cold calling. I would rather call warm leads and set up appointments that way. But what I would recommend with cold calling is find a reputable VA service to do the cold calls for you. You already have the data that's purchased, so you can find someone in the Philippines or in Mexico or even here in the US, depending on how much you can afford for your marketing budget. You can find someone to actually make these cold calls for you, qualify the leads, and set appointments for you. So if you have those two strategies going, You have ringless voicemails that are getting replied to, you have text messages that are getting replied to, you have cold calls that are getting replied to. So it just sets you up to have a ton of lead flow. So that way, now you might be thinking this is a lot of stuff to do to get my first deal. So you don't have to do all of these strategies, but what I'm trying to do is set you up for success. I want you to be able to scale beyond your first deal, so to the point that you're doing 5 to 10 deals a month. Again, I'm a marketer, so these are marketing strategies to help you scale up your business. If you're wanting to just do 1 or 2 deals a month, that's more of a hobby and that's not really a business. And a lot of these strategies wouldn't apply. But if you want to make this a business, I would recommend that you have more than one lead source, and cold calling is a great way to do it. So you take the data that you've already purchased in SkipTrace, you want to give it to a VA to do the cold calls, and you typically want to make sure that they're following a specific process. So when they're cold calling, they want to make sure they at least call 3 times in the morning if they're not getting a contact, 2 more times in the afternoon, and 1 more time in the evening. So that way you're getting the best use out of your data. The worst possible thing that you can do is give it to a VA that's only calling through the data once and saying, hey, I didn't get any deals. Again, with this business, the fortune is in the follow-up. Most times people are trying to figure out who you are or why are you even reaching out to them, and it's hard to do that with 1 text message or 1 ringless voicemail or 1 phone call. You want to build a little rapport in order to get someone to give you or to sign a contractor so you can find your first deal. Now, the next strategy that I would recommend, and again, you don't have to do all of these, but I'm just kind of giving you as much as I can in terms of lead sources, so that way you can find your first deal as quickly as possible. The next thing that you want to do is set up Facebook ads. Now, I did an entire video on Facebook ads that I'll link down below. It's way more efficient to run these Facebook ads than it is to go set up bandit signs. Now, bandit signs in most counties are legal, and there's actually a lot of people that will just go and pick these bandit signs up and throw them in the trash. So it's a lot of wasted money. And we live in an age now where there's a lot of people on social media, and it's even easier. Facebook has made it easier for you to run ads on their platform to find motivated sellers. You don't need fancy copy. You don't need a ton of technology. You don't need to not know a lot about tech to actually set these up. So like I said, I'll link the video below. I won't go into much detail about these, but you can think about Facebook ads as digital bandit signs that can't get taken down if you comply with Facebook standards. So you run these, and you can run these on a relatively low budget. So if you're looking at all this stuff and you're like, man, I just don't have the budget for this, Facebook ads is probably the best way to go, because you could run $5 to $10 per day on a Facebook ad, and you can generate anywhere between 2 and 10 motivated seller leads depending on your market. We've seen costs for motivated seller leads come through at like pennies on the dollar by running Facebook ads in the area, looking for people that want to cash offer on their price or on their home. And the best part about it is once you set up the system, it sends text messages directly to your phone with the lead info, with the phone number that you just have to call back as soon as someone fills out the form. So basically what you want to do for this whole process is just rinse and repeat. Once you have your Facebook ads going, again, that's a low budget way to go. Whether you're cold calling, you're having VAs cold calling, you want to keep doing it. It's my belief that success is given to the people that are persistent enough to keep going. You have to persist and keep testing and keep trying with all these marketing strategies to find your first deal. Now, again, we covered a lot of stuff, and I know it might sound confusing if you're not tech savvy or if you're just getting started in this business. So like I said, I took this entire process out and I wrote it in a guide that you can follow step by step. I linked to all the resources that you need, to the websites, to the videos that you'll need to look at. Again, go to guide.thewholesaleconnection.com and you can download the ebook so you can walk through this entire process step by step. Now, we've reached the end of all the marketing strategies that I'm going to give you today. Again, this is for someone that wants to find their first deal in 7 days or less using marketing. Once you find a deal that you want to secure, come back to YouTube and find a video on how to have a seller appointment. There's tons of information out there. So the best thing you can do is start taking action. If you want to get started with this business, it rewards people that take action. So if you guys enjoyed this video, enjoyed this content, make sure you like and comment below. Let me know if you've done your first deal, if you're still looking for your first deal, and I'll point you in the right direction if you need any help. And then if you're new here, make sure that you subscribe and hit the notification bell so that way you get notified when we drop new videos. And I will see you guys in the next one.